Mira was 12 years old when a terrible accident took away the most loving mother she had, leaving an unfillable void in her young heart. Shortly afterward, her father remarried, hoping that a new family might heal some of the emotional wounds. But her stepmother, Lydia, was nothing like the figure Mira had wished for. When her father passed away from a severe illness a year later, Lydia revealed her true cold and ruthless nature. Mira was forced to do all the housework and had to take on a job at a small bookstore in town to help support the household financially. Amid a harsh life devoid of love, Mira had one precious source of comfort: Evan. At 15, he was the son of a poor farming family in town. Evan always showed Mira special care and became her closest friend. He was her protector and comforter whenever she felt helpless or tired. Together, they often escaped from their harsh reality, dreaming of a brighter future, even though they knew the path to happiness would be far from easy. Under the shade of an old tree by the lake, where the rustling leaves seemed to listen to their stories, Mira would passionately talk about the books she secretly read while working at the bookstore. Those pages opened up a vast world full of hope and dreams before her eyes. Evan, with his bright eyes and determined heart, often promised that one day he would become successful and take Mira away from her difficult life. "One day," Evan said, his gaze steady but gentle, "I'll take you away from here. We'll have a better life, I promise." Despite the many challenges of reality, Mira believed in that promise, believed in the light that Evan brought, a light that kept her moving forward even when everything seemed to be against her. Welcome to today's story, a meaningful tale about the power of love, perseverance, and kindness. It's a reminder that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how distance and time may test the human heart, true love will always find its way back. Before we begin the story, let us know which city you're watching from by commenting below. The small bookstore sat humbly on the corner of Main Street with old wooden shelves filled with books. For Mira, this place wasn't just a job. It was a magical space where she could escape the hardships of life with her stepmother. Each day, after finishing her tasks of cleaning and organizing books as Mr. Lawrence, the kind old owner, required, Mira would immerse herself in the world of books. She became absorbed in medical texts, teaching herself about anatomy, pathology, and healing methods. Each time she turned a page, Mira felt a flame ignite in her heart. She dreamed of becoming a doctor one day, someone who could heal others' pain, just as she wished to heal the wounds in her own heart and bring hope to the suffering people in her town. Sometimes Mr. Lawrence would notice the young girl sitting under the soft yellow light, reading thick books with eyes full of a thirst for knowledge. He would smile kindly, quietly admiring her diligence and intelligence. Even though Mira's life was filled with difficulties, she never let them extinguish her passion for learning and her dreams. In those rare moments between her many chores, Mira would carefully jot down important things she learned from the books into a small notebook she carried, always determined to keep learning. Evan also knew about Mira's dream. On afternoons when they met under the old tree by the lakeside, Mira would often tell Evan about the wonders she had read about. "I want to help those in need," she said, her eyes shining brightly. "If I can become a doctor, I'll heal people so they won't have to suffer like my mom did." Evan sat beside her, listening and feeling the strength and immense compassion she carried. He knew that Mira was not only strong, but also full of ambition. It made him even more determined to keep his promise to change both of their lives. But they both understood that the road ahead would be difficult, especially with Mira having to face her stepmother's cruelty and the heavy responsibilities on her shoulders. Despite the hardships, Mira kept working diligently, holding on to her faith in the future. She knew that every page she read, every piece of knowledge she absorbed, was like a brick building her dream of becoming a doctor and a tool to help her escape from a life of struggle, moving towards one of greater purpose. Evan was always a steadfast support for Mira during those stormy childhood years. When her cold stepmother made life even heavier and her work at the bookstore became exhausting at times, Evan was there to bring smiles and words of encouragement. He quietly took care of her, from shielding her from the rain to sharing the dreams they both cherished. Their friendship, over time, grew into a deep bond that needed no words, but was evident in every look, every action. Their friendship blossomed into a love that grew stronger each day. When Evan turned 20, he knew he couldn't stay in the town forever. His family was still poor, and opportunities for a better life never came easily. He decided to leave for the big city to find work, hoping to earn enough money to change both his and Mira's futures. Before leaving, Evan took Mira to their familiar spot, the old tree by the lake, where so many childhood memories were held. "Mira," Evan said, his voice deep and resolute, his eyes shining with determination. "I promise I'll come back. I'll do whatever it takes to build a better future and take you away from this place. You have to promise me that you'll wait and never give up on your dreams." Mira looked at him, tears shimmering in her gentle brown eyes, but she tried to hold them back. She knew Evan was doing the right thing, but the thought of parting still made her heart ache. She nodded, her small hand clutching his, holding on as if trying to savor every remaining moment. "I promise," Mira said, her voice soft but filled with determination. "I'll wait, and I'll keep studying, keep dreaming. No matter where you are, I'll never forget you." Evan leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, a farewell full of love and tenderness. "I'll come back," he repeated, as if that promise was the only thing that could keep them connected, no matter the distance or time. Who made it to this part? Comment coffee so we know you're someone who has closely followed the story. And then he left, leaving Mira standing under the old oak tree, watching his silhouette fade into the twilight. Even though her heart was heavy with sorrow, Evan's promise became a guiding light, helping her to keep living and fighting for her dreams. Every day at the bookstore, every time she turned the pages of a medical book, Mira thought about their promise, holding on to hope and strength. The years passed and Mira grew stronger and smarter. She held on to her dream of becoming a doctor as a way to fulfill the beautiful aspirations she and Evan had once shared. Meanwhile, in the distant city, Evan never stopped thinking about her, working tirelessly to make his old promise a reality. Evan left the town empty-handed, but with an iron will. The early days in the city were far from easy. He did whatever jobs he could to survive, from loading cargo in warehouses to repairing machinery. Despite the backbreaking work and harsh life, Evan never lost sight of his goal, to build a better life so he could return for Mira. During his most exhausting moments, he always thought of her hopeful eyes, which gave him the strength to keep going. In his spare time, Evan educated himself. He read books about business, finance, and investing, and even enrolled in night classes to further his knowledge. Gradually, he transitioned from manual labor to a sales position where his intelligence and persuasive skills quickly caught the attention of influential entrepreneurs. His first big opportunity came when a trusted investor gave him a chance to participate in a promising real estate project. Through determination and keen insight, Evan successfully doubled the initial investment. From there, his career soared. He founded his own company and continued to grow his wealth through real estate deals and investments in technology. In less than a decade, Evan went from being a poor young man to a self-made billionaire, owning skyscrapers and leading major corporations. Despite living in the limelight of wealth, Evan never let luxury cloud his mind or heart. He was constantly surrounded by beautiful women, eager to do anything to win his attention. Yet Evan remained faithful to the memory of Mira, the small-town girl he had loved since his impoverished youth. Whenever he thought about her smile, about the afternoons they spent by the lake sharing dreams, his heart felt warm and at peace. Even though he had everything most people could ever dream of, Evan knew deep down that his success was incomplete. He understood that he needed to return to fulfill his old promise, to free Mira from her constrained life and build a bright future together with her. When Evan left town, Mira continued working diligently at the bookstore, the place that had nurtured her dreams and knowledge. The years spent working there not only deepened her understanding of medicine through the old books, but also honed her resilience and determination. Mira was passionate about reading and learning, and bit by bit, she accumulated knowledge and grew her dream of becoming a doctor, not just to escape her difficult life, but also to help the poor people in town, those she witnessed daily in their helplessness. Mira continued working hard at the bookstore, constantly expanding her knowledge and nurturing her dream of becoming a doctor. The hardships she endured shaped her into a strong and resilient young woman, Though they couldn't hide her natural beauty, Mira grew into a stunning woman with clear, bright eyes and a gentle smile that could captivate anyone's heart. Her beauty and intelligence quickly drew the attention of many young men in town, especially the wealthy ones who eagerly sought to win her affection. However, Mira's stepmother, who had long seen her as a burden, now viewed her beauty as an opportunity for personal gain. She continually pressured Mira to marry a wealthy young man from town who could bring great benefits to their family. This young man, despite his flashy appearance and solid social status, couldn't stir Mira's heart. Despite the heavy pressure from her stepmother, Mira firmly rejected every arranged marriage. Her heart remained devoted to Evan, the boy who had stood by her side through tough times, the one she had silently entrusted with her love and faith. Whenever she remembered Evan's promise from years ago, Mira felt strengthened, resisting oppression and remaining steadfast in her dreams. The love and memories of Evan were her source of motivation, helping her endure every hardship, as she continued to hope that one day he would return and fulfill the promise that had kept her alive and waiting all these years. Mira never stopped expanding her knowledge. Finally, through relentless effort, she earned a scholarship to a prestigious medical school. It was an opportunity she had never dared to dream of, but with the support of kind people in town who admired her dedication and kindness, Mira bravely embarked on this new journey, carrying with her a burning belief and hope. The years of medical training were not easy. Mira had to balance her studies with part-time jobs to cover expenses, but she never gave up. She thought of Evan's promise and their shared dream of a brighter future. The memories of Evan and her deep love for him gave her the strength to persevere whenever she felt exhausted. Mira never allowed herself to forget the boy who had protected and comforted her when she was a miserable little girl. Eventually, Mira graduated from medical school with outstanding achievements and became a talented doctor. She returned to the small town where she had grown up in hardship, dedicating her strength and hope that Evan would one day come back for her. She opened a free clinic for the poor, treating patients with all the compassion and dedication she had. Mira was not only a healer of physical ailments, but also a beacon of hope for many townspeople. Even though she had grown up and achieved success, Mira still always thought of Evan. She had no idea that he had become a wealthy and successful man. She only remembered the image of the poor boy with a warm smile and bright eyes as they sat together under the tree, sharing impossible dreams. His promise was a silent source of strength in her heart, and Mira kept waiting, hoping that one day Evan would return as he had promised, and they would be together again, free from obstacles and pain. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss other touching tales. One snowy day, as the world outside was blanketed in white, Mira was busy tending to an elderly patient when she heard a commotion outside her small clinic. She looked up and glanced through the window, seeing people gathering with excitement and curiosity, murmuring about someone who had just arrived. Some said it was a young billionaire, someone who had returned to the town after many years away. Mira smiled slightly, dismissing it as just another rumor, and went back to her work. She could never have imagined that the moment that would change her life was about to arrive. A few minutes later, the door to the clinic opened. Mira was still focused on arranging medical tools when she heard footsteps echoing in the small room. She turned around and froze. Evan was standing in front of her, but he was no longer the poor farm boy she remembered. He wore an elegant suit, radiating confidence in the demeanor of someone who had faced countless challenges. Yet his eyes were still warm and bright as ever, and when he looked at Mira, they sparkled as though he had found a missing piece of himself. "Mira," Evan spoke, his voice trembling slightly, not out of fear but from emotion. His heart seemed to light up at the sight of the girl he had never forgotten, the one who had always been a guiding light through his lonely and difficult years. Mira felt the world slow down, her eyes wide with disbelief at what she was seeing. "Evan," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. She didn't know what to do, run into his arms or hold back, afraid that this was only a dream. Evan took a step toward her, then another, until he was standing right in front of her. "I promised I'd come back," he said, a gentle smile on his lips, but his eyes held an indescribable depth of feeling. "And I've kept that promise." Mira stood there, emotions flooding through her. She couldn't stop the tears from streaming down her face. She had grown up, become a doctor who saved lives. But deep in her heart, she was still that girl who clung to a promise from years ago. She couldn't believe that Evan had kept his word, that he had truly come back to her after all those years apart. The room suddenly felt warmer in the cold of winter, as if the years of waiting had melted away in this moment of reunion. Evan could no longer hold back his emotions. He reached out and gently touched Mira's cheek, wiping away her tears. "I never forgot you, Mira. Nothing in this world could ever replace you in my heart." Mira laughed through her tears, feeling as though all the pain and hardship she had endured had suddenly vanished. "I never forgot you either," she replied, her voice trembling but filled with happiness. Then, in the presence of the patients and townspeople eagerly watching through the window, they embraced as if nothing in the world could ever separate them again. Their reunion was not just the return of a love that had once been torn apart. It was proof that true love could overcome time, distance, and the harshest of trials. Mira and Evan, who had once dreamed of a brighter future, had found each other again, and their story was only just beginning. Evan looked into Mira's eyes, his gaze full of hope and love. In a moment where everything around them seemed to stop, he took a small red velvet box out of his pocket. Mira held her breath, her heart pounding as Evan gently knelt down, his eyes never leaving her face. "Mira," he said, his voice sincere and full of emotion, "I've traveled far, seen the dazzling lights, and lived in the glamorous world I once dreamed of. But not a moment passed when I didn't think of you. You have always been the flame that warmed my heart, the reason I never forgot our promise from long ago." Tears welled up in Mira's eyes once more. She couldn't believe this moment was real, that her dear friend, the boy she had loved since they were young, was now kneeling before her, ready to give her the world. "Mira," Evan continued, his voice trembling with emotion, "you've grown into an incredible woman, strong and full of love. I can't imagine my life without you by my side. Let me make up for all the years you had to endure loss and loneliness. Let me take you to a better life, where we can be happy together forever." He opened the box, revealing a sparkling diamond ring that glistened in the light. "Mira, will you marry me?" Mira looked at the man before her, who had once been the boy who protected her, who shared her childhood dreams, and who had now become a successful billionaire. She felt the strength of the love and loyalty that Evan had held on to, which had helped him withstand all the temptations and luxuries of the world. She thought about everything she had been through, the struggles, the lonely days, and the hopes she had always kept in her heart. With a warm smile and tears shining in her eyes, Mira nodded. "Yes, Evan," she said, her voice breaking with joy. "I will marry you." The people in the clinic, from elderly patients to Mira's colleagues, clapped and cheered, blessing the couple. The afternoon sunlight streamed in, illuminating their faces as if the sun itself was congratulating them. Evan stood up and wrapped Mira in a tight embrace, his heart overflowing with happiness. They kissed amidst the cheers of those around them, knowing that they had finally found each other again, and that their love had triumphed over every obstacle to reunite once more. We have many more exciting stories waiting for you to discover. Click on the links on the end screen. Despite being apart and going through different journeys, Mira and Evan realize that no matter how the world changes, true love will always bring them back together, guiding the way to a future full of hope and happiness. Mira and Evan left the town, holding each other's hands with a wide-open future ahead of them. The evening shadows gradually descended, but the radiant light of faith and love between them continued to shine brightly. They had endured the difficult years, the days of longing and separation, and challenges that seemed insurmountable. But now they were beginning a new chapter together, filled with hope and happiness. Mira was no longer the young girl who worked tirelessly at the small bookstore, while silently nurturing her dreams. Now she had become a skilled and compassionate doctor, dedicating her heart to saving those who needed her the most. She knew that the days spent working in the bookstore had shaped the person she was today, a strong and empathetic woman. Mira continued her mission, not only healing illnesses but also spreading warmth and hope to everyone around her. Evan, the boy who had left town with nothing but big dreams, had now become a successful billionaire. But wealth had never dimmed his heart. He remained the young man with eyes full of faith and loyalty to his first love. Many women surrounded Evan, but he never wavered because his heart belonged only to Mira, the one who had shared childhood dreams with him and given him the strength to overcome every challenge. They decided to use Evan's wealth and influence to establish a free medical center for the poor, providing health care and better opportunities for the town where they had grown up. The center was not only a symbol of their love and success, but also a heartfelt thank you to the land that had witnessed their growth and love. The story of Mira and Evan is a testament to the power of love, perseverance, and compassion. It reminds us that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how distance and time may test the human heart, true love will always find its way back, reuniting two souls to continue their journey together. Hand in hand and with hearts full of faith, they stepped into the future, knowing that life would continue to bring challenges, but now they had each other to face everything together. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss other touching stories. Did you find this story meaningful? Please rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments.